As we inch closer to that back-to-school shopping season, the Hot Wheels at M&H Racing are finally back after a long break. As always, I'm your host Alex B, here to introduce you with the Hot Wheels Fidget Spinner Jousting Tournament, a tournament never seen before on YouTube. Today, 16 cars will have a fidget spinner attached and will go down a track head-to-head. After the cars collide, the car that's the closest to the track moves on to the next round. If both cars stay on the track, the one that is upright spares elimination. The tension is already increasing with the first match of round 1. We have the Ford GT Race versus the SRT Viper. And already a great collision there. Let's get a look at that replay. And you can see there the SRT Viper seemed to have slipped before crashing. And the Ford GT Race is going to move on to the next round as he is the closest to the track. And you can see there the Viper's spinner was actually destroyed during battle. Just goes to show how physical this sport really is. Next up, we have the 68 Dodge Dart and the Formulator. And the Dodge Dart ends up taking a brutal hit there. You can see there the impact caused him to do a 360 midair, and it even caused the spinner to separate from the car. But we all know who the winner is. It is the Formulator, who will be moving on to round 2. And now with match 3, we have the 76 Greenwood Corvette versus the Custom 69 Volkswagen Squareback. There they go, and it's the Greenwood Corvette that's just able to hold on. The Volkswagen spinner there taking an impact, and we're going to be seeing the Greenwood Corvette in round 2. You can see the full extent of the damage here, and unfortunately for the Squareback, it's going to be his last race. And now with match 4, we have two silvers, the 2016 Camaro SS and the Drifsta. There they go, just barely skimming each other. And it looked like there it was the Camaro. No, it's the Drifsta that's able to hold his ground. It looked like there the Camaro had a hard time stabilizing while going down the track, and that just caused him to fall out in the end. And it looked like the Drifsta stayed unharmed all the way to the end of the track, and that will award him a spot to the next round. Now with match 5, we have the 2004 BMW and the Morris Mini, a classic Hot Wheels. There they go, and it looks like it's the Morris Mini taking the win. You can see there on the replay, BMW flying high, and the spinner gets separated from the car. And lucky for the Morris Mini, he stays on the track and will be our 5th car moving on. And now for match 6, we have the Chevy Silverado and the Ford Shelby GT350. Ooh, and it's a tight one there. That looks like a race so close, we'll actually have to measure both cars to see which one is closer. Keep in mind that we measure the distance of the attached spinner to the track instead of the car unless it has fallen like the Ford. And despite the fallen spinner, the Ford Shelby will be moving on. Now with our second last match in round 1, we have the BMW M4 versus the 17 Ford GT. And it looks like the Ford GT is going to take it. Let's get a look at that replay. You can see right there on the impact the BMW making a full 360 flip. But unfortunately, we're not judging cars based on tricks, and as a result, the BMW will still be eliminated. And now our final 2 cars of round 1, we have the Amazer and the 60 Chevy Impala. And it's going to be the Chevy taking the win with the Amazer landing on its roof. And you could see here, it's actually an advantage for the Chevy that the spinner fell off of him. And as a result, he did not experience much of the impact. And the Amazer is eliminated with the Chevy Impala being our last car moving on. And now with round 2, 8 cars remain, and here's a current look at your standings. Let's get right into round 2 with our first match. First up, the Formulator and the 16 Ford GT Race. And it's a tight one here. We're going to have to go to replay. Both cars look like they evenly took the hit. And it looks like we're going to have to measure to see which one's closer. The Formulator measures about 3 centimeters from the track, while the Ford GT Race measures 2.5. So the Ford GT Race will be moving on. Match 2 now, we have the Drifsta and the 76 Greenwood Corvette. Let's see who will take it. And it looks like it's the Drift Stud taking the win. Let's get a closer look at that replay. You could see the Greenwood Corvette just getting knocked off right on the track, and the Drift Stud was able to drift slightly closer to the track, and that gave him the advantage as he moves on to the semifinals. Now match 3, more than halfway there, the Ford Shelby and the Morris Mini. And both cars taking a huge hit, but it's the Ford Shelby that will be moving on. You can see here the Morris Mini lost balance, which actually caused him to fly further, and the Ford Shelby took advantage of that. And as a result, he is closer to the track and will be our third car moving on to the semis. And now with our final match of round 2, we have the 65 Chevy Impala versus the 17 Ford GT. There they go, and the Chevy takes a massive hit against the Ford. Let's get a look at that replay. Both hitting. You could see here the Chevy flying high and even losing the spinner. And despite landing on the track, the Ford GT is still on all fours, which will result in him being eliminated. 16 cars were originally in the tournament, but now only 4 remain. The winners of this round will move on to the finals, while the losers battle for third place. In our first match, we have the Drift Stud and the 16 Ford GT race. Another massive impact causing damage to both of the spinners. Let's get a look at that replay. Both cars hitting each other hard, but the Ford GT seemed to have less of an impact. And I have a feeling he's going to be the one moving on. And yes, he is. Still be on the track. The Drift Stud will be battling for third place. And now with match 2 of the semis, the 17 Ford GT and the Ford Shelby. And it's a tight one there. I'm not too sure if the Shelby stayed on the track. And it looks like he did. And the Ford GT is laying down on its roof. But because the Shelby and the spinner are still intact, the Shelby will be the one moving on. Now our third place match, the 17 Ford GT and the Drift Stud. Let's see who wins it. And it's the Ford GT taking the win. You can see here in the replay, both cars impacting each other, the Drift Stud taking a flip, and the Ford GT is able to hold on to third place, better than nothing. And the Drift Stud finishes the tournament in 4th, not too bad. And now the moment you've all been waiting for, it's the Ford Shelby GT350 versus the 16 Ford GT race. This will be a best of 3, so the first car to 2 wins moves on. And looking back at that replay, it looked like the GT absorbed most of the impact and the Ford Shelby goes flying off the track. And no surprise there, the Ford GT race takes home the first race, but will he take home the second? There they both go, and it looks like it's the Shelby this time, but it's too close to call. We might have to measure here, folks. Ford Shelby, they're doing close to 360. But it's way too close to call for sure. We'll definitely have to measure. You can see here the Ford GT measuring 1 centimeter close. And the Ford Shelby coming in at 0.4. So the Shelby is going to be taking home race number 2. Now race 3, and it looks like it's the Shelby. We're going to have to go to replay. Both cars impacting. And the GT Race's spinner gets destroyed, but it's still uncertain. We'll have to look at the bird's eye cam. And yes, no surprise there, the Ford Shelby GT350 is our fidget spinner jousting champion. And we'd also like to wish a big congratulations to our 6 fans who guessed the correct car on our community post. And our final results, all 3 of them being Fords. First place Ford Shelby, second place Ford GT Race, and third the 17 GT. Don't forget to like this video if you enjoyed, follow our social media down below for more M&H Racing, and please subscribe and ring the bell to be a part of that notification squad. I'm Alex B, signing off.